Good morning to all. Welcome to this session. Myself, Dr. P. Shivaranjani, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Application, handling Advanced Java Programming. So today we'll discuss about implementing an RMA server and how to implement the server program and your client program by the concept called as an RMA concept. So first is we have learned already what is called as an RME and all. So we have an basic idea. So here the working with RMA is nothing but your remote method innovation. So this is a simple way of searching your simplest form of communication media. So you can make a connection establishment with the client and the server, and you can make a communications between the each component. That is, by the help of the client and the server can communicate with each other by the concept called as RMA. So here the main idea is working with an object on the remote mission is made to look like a calling a procedure on the remote side. That is, the application or the client sent a message to the remote object. The remote object receives the message, does processing, send back the message with the results the server side. The client receives the message and uses or printed the results. So the next is how does this particular thing will work it out has been shown in the diagrammatical representation. So here you'll have a server side and the client side. In the server side, you will have a remote object, so that will help you to run your procedure. So when the client is making a request to the server, so what does the particular server will do in the sense, it will accept the particular request and will make a call to a particular procedure, and it will go and search for the particular data, whether the particular data is been available inside the server or not. If the data is been available inside the server, then the server will transfer the particular data as a result for the client side. So this is what the connection establishment or the interfaces between the client and the server side will be taken place in your RMI programming. So why do we need yet another mechanism for remote object communications? So we have already learned that socket, and if we have find a socket as a TDS, so there are intermediate representations such as you should make use of your names, value pairs, or XML. So in order to overcome this, you can make a use of this RMI programming, so which will help you to make an easy connection establishment between your client and the server. So the answer for this question is yes, you can do the particular. Another mechanism can be used for invoking your remote object communications. That is, traditionally in client-server model, the client is formulated or translated into an intermediate language. Example, you can call it as a name or a values or XML data. The server parses the request and translated it into a language. The computer reply, translated into an intermediate languages, send it to the client, then client repeat the process. But in the case of user-defined structured data, this mechanism requires a significant code effort, and the next thing is are not very intuitive and not a part of the basic vocabulary or the concept of programming language. As opposed to this, RMA has a form that is familiar even to the entry-level programmers. Naturally, extends everything is an object. Principal to the object can be anywhere. So this is the main use of or main goal of your RMA application. So the next one is distributed application task. So here we learn about locate remote object. Next one is communicating with your remote object, and third one is your loading your class bytes. So the first one is locate your remote object. The applications can obtain a reference to the remote object by the help of two methods. One is object or register with an RMA naming facility, that is by using your RMA registry, or the second one is by using an application can pass and return a return object or a remote object reference as a part of this normal operations. So this is the one which will help you to locate your remote object to the RMA registry. And the second one is communicating with these remote objects. So this has been handled by RMA, looking like a standard Java method innovations to the programmer. The next one is loading your class byte code for the object that are passed as a parameter or return values, because RMA allows the caller to pass the pure object to the Java object to the remote object. RMA provides a necessary mechanism for loading an object code as well as in transmitting its data. So next one is using the registry to obtain a reference to the remote object. So here this diagram you can see there are two different types of paths, that one is client side and another one is server side. Here in client you'll have a web server. So this web server will help you to make will have a protocol called as an URL protocol. By the help of this URL, that is Uniform Resource Locator Protocol, you can transfer a message to the server. Only the client, register client, can be communicate with the server by the help of this URL protocols. So this, so similarly, the server can also communicate with the client by the help of this URL protocol. So the client will make a request to the server by the help of this URL protocols. So the the basic step which has been included for this kind of client-server communication establishment has been explained detailedly. It has been carried out by the three different steps. The first thing is you have to make the server will call the registry to the associated name with the remote objects. Then the client will look up for the remote object by the name in the server's registry. Then the client will invoke the method on the objects. So you have to make a note that RMA system will uses an existing web browser to load your Java class bytecode from the server to the client and from the server to the client when needed. So RMA can load the classes bytecode using your property called as an URL property, but that is, you can also make use of HTTP or FTP. You can use any different types of URL you required. So that will be supported by that is being supported by your Java programming. So the next one is RMA architecture. So here you'll have a client side and server side. The client will have a component called as a stub, and the server will have a component called as skeleton. So by the help of this component, the client can communicate with each other, and the client and the server will communicated by the help of this RRL layer, that is nothing but you are called it as remote reference layers. And the connection establishment between the client, the network connection establishment is done by the help of the transport layer. So this is what the layer specified to, that is in your OS, in your open standard interfaces, that is you'll have an OSA reference model, you'll have 7 different types of layer. So here the first layer is your application layer, is nothing but your client or the server, and your presentation layer is nothing but your component, that is your either it is a stub or it is a skeleton. Stub for client and a skeleton for the server, and the session is nothing but your remote reference layer is called as a session layer. So this will help you to make a virtual connection connections between the client and the server, and the network connection can be done by the help of this transport layer. So here the layer are independent and each layer is defined by the specific protocol and built using a specific interfaces. Any layer can be replaced by an alternative implementation without affecting the others. Example, the current transport layer in RMA is TCP based, but you can also substitute by using your UDP based transport layer. This is also possible in your RMA application. So that is the main flexibility which has been available in the RMA applications. So the next one is RMA in action. So here you'll have how does this RMA will be performing its action by the help of the component called as a stub in the client side, and in server side you have a component called as a skeleton. So here, the client will make a local call to the stub method. Then the particular stub what will do in the sense that particular request will be put it into a bundle. It will put it into a bundle, or it will put it into a marshaled parameters. That is, it will bundle the particular parameters. Then the particular request will be sent to the particular client. So the client will accept the particular request by the a method called as a skeleton. So then the particular requested made by the client will be stored in skeleton, and it will go and search for the particular request which has been available inside the server. Then if the particular data has been available, or the request or the value has been available in the server will provide a response to the particular client. That is, it will send again, the server will marshal the return value or an exception, and the particular thing will be received by the client, whether the value or if there is any error, it will be received by the server program also. So the next one is when what does this stub method is invoked on the client side. So it does the following things. The first thing is initiate the connections with the JVM on which the remote object resides. Next one, marshal the parameters. Then it's wait for the results of the method innovations. The next one is unmarshal the values or exception return. It returns the value to the caller. So this is what the action which has been taken place inside your stub method. On the server side, by the help of your skeleton or your receiver object, you can marshal the parameters of the remote method. Then you can locate the object to the called functions. Next is you can call the desired method on the remote object implementations. It captures and marshal the return values or exception to the callers. So this is what the action which has been taken place inside your RMA architecture. So the next one is anatomy of simple RMA based application. So here we'll have an example of product info client server. So here we have a client and the server. So here the client will make a request, that is in a class called as my product. It has to get the description of the particular product. So then the client will make a request to the server. So the server will make a request. So the client will make a request to the server. The server will pass the particular request by the help of stub, and the server will receive the particular request from the client by the help of the skeleton. Then it will search the particular request which has been available inside your database on the server side. If it is available, then the particular data or the data output will be displayed to the client by the server. If it is not, then the exception will be thrown out by the server. So here here we'll summarize how does this particular thing will work it out. The client program in the class called as product client. So the product interface, the remote interface make use of a product class called as a product. Then the product impl stub automatically generated by the RMA C compiler from your product impl classes. This will be taken place in your client side, and in your server side, the server program in the product server will be executed. So it will make a remote interface by the help of to the product. Then the interface implemented in the product impl will be automatically executed. Then automatically generated by the RMA C compiler from the product impl classes, and will provide the particular result as an output for the client. So the next one is your RMA interfaces. So for RMA interfaces, you have to make use of your concept called as a remote interfaces should be a public one, because it cannot have a package access. It cannot be in a friendly. So otherwise the client cannot load your remote object that implements the remote interfaces. So the remote interfaces must extend the interface called as java.rma.remote. So each method in the remote interfaces must be declared that is your Java RMA.remote exception in your throw class, in addition to any application specific exception. This is necessary as a remote method or inherently less reliable than local one. So this is an example of your remote interfaces product. So here I have used a class package called as import java.rma. So this will help you to implement a concept of RMA in your program. The next one is I have created an interface called as a product. So that will extend a class called as a remote. So inside an interface called as a product, I have define a function called as a get description. So if that is a function, and it will also throws if there is an error in the case of accessing the particular difficulties. If there is any difficulties in accessing or getting the description of the particular product, then it has to throw out the particular exception to the user. So the next one is I have created a constructor. So you have implementing your remote interfaces. Then you have to extend the server subclasses by using remote cast remote objects, unicast remote object. That is, it is a server class. Then you have to constructor must be explicitly defined, even it is just the default, because it must throw the remote exception to the user. So next one is implementation of remote interfaces method. So I am going to defining a method called as a get description. So if there is any error at the time of retrieving the particular description, then it has to throw out an error that I am excellent. What kind of thing you have to need it, the name, the corresponding name, and the by name. Okay. So this is the program which explains how does this remote interfaces will be working for the product description. So the next one is your unicast remote object. That is nothing but your AIPI specification. So this will help you to access your remote classes or remote object. So by using your public class unicasting remote object, you are going to create a class and you are just extending the remote server inside your program. So first thing is you have to create the classes. Then you have to define non-repeatable remote objects. The next one is you have to define the non-repeatable remote object whose reference are valid only while the server process is alive. Then you have to provide a support for the point-to-point active object reference, innovations, parameters, and results using your TCP streams. So the next one is server-side security. In main method of the server program here or implemented in the class. So you have created and installed a security manager to support your RMA. So here I have used a concept called a system.setSecurityManager, new RMA security manager. So this will help you to secure your application very efficient manner. So next one is creating remote objects. So the next one is creating a remote object. Client, how to create a client remote object. So the client gets access to the server object that implement the interfaces by the product by creating a variable of the type interfaces product. The values looked up and written by the server is stored in a variable of the type interfaces. So here I'm using a method called as naming lookup method is called, and the remote host and the object names are specified. So here in a product A equal to product naming dot lookup, I'm just looking up the name of the particular product, that is RMA dot host laptop. And here looking up the next option, you can also define specifically in which particular option you're looking for it. Okay, so host :3000 / laptop, right? So here this will help you to get the description of the particular method. So the next is interfacing object access remote objects. So here the client variable will make a remote call by using a method called as get description. So this is an object of type remote interfaces. So not an object of the remote object class remote interfaces implementation. So you can also use this remote classes interface in your program also. So this is your server-side program. So here this program will explain how the particular server side will work it out. So here I am used a control called as a package called as java.rme, java.rme.server. So here I have created a class called as a product server, and inside my main, if there is any a problem has been encountered at the server side, then it has to catch the particular error. So for that I have displayed by using your system.out.println, I'm displaying a message that starting your server. And next one is the second step is creating a remote object. Then here I'm going to get the two product details. The first one is your laptop and another one is display. So then I have to display a message called as binding remote object to the registry. So now I'm going to binding the particular registry between the client and the server. Then you have to display a message that waiting for the client call. And if there is any error has been encountered in the particular process, so this has to be throughout to the server side programming. So similarly at the client side program, I have created a client side program. So here the client should provide a security manager to protect your particular content. So here I have created a class called as a product client, and in main I'm just looking up the laptop details and displaying the particular content accordingly. So here I have used a keyword called as naming lookup, that is a laptop, and I have to display the corresponding display to the user. So that two thing has to be outputted to the user, and if there is any error has been occurred in the connection establishment between the client and the server, then it has to be thrown out. After that, if there is no connection establishment, no connection establishment between the client and the server, then it has to come out of the particular program. So the next one is location of RMA class files. So when you are building your RMA files, there are 5 categories which will help you to categories of files can be generated. The first one is your remote classes, remote interfaces classes, and the second thing is client implementation classes. Third one is your server side implementation classes. So this will include your remote interfaces implementation classes, and fourth one is strap classes, and fifth one is skeleton classes. So to run the application, this class must distributed as follows. So how do we distribute it in the sense as the client side and as a server side? So the client will implement the classes. Second one, similarly the server will also implement the classes. So the next thing is the client will make a remote interfaces classes. So similarly the server will also make a remote interfaces classes. So apart from that, the server will also make a remote interfaces implementation classes and strap classes. Then the client will make a strap class and the server will activate the skeleton classes. So these are the following things you have to carry out in your RMA classes files. These are the files to be kept ready. So next one is how to start your RMA registry. So in RMA registry, so in your in the servers directory, you have to start your RMA registry. So for start, you have to use a keyword called as start RMA registry or start RMA registry 3000 for Windows, and if it is an Unix, then you have to use an RMA registry ampersand symbol or RMA registry 3000 ampersand if it is an Unix operating system. Then you should also make sure that you have an active TCP/ICP IP connections. So you must connect it to your internet service provider also. So the register is launched in a separate window and bounded to the specific port defaultly 1099 on the machine executing the command. No text message appears in the command line registry window. If you attempt to start your server before the RMA registry is running, then you have to make use of this particular command called as java.rma.connection exception is thrown. So this will help you to throw out your connection establishment. So next one is running your server. So you have to start your server. If it is for Windows, you have to use a keyword called as start Java product server. And if it is for Unix, then you have to use a keyword called as Java product server ampersand. Then this will help you to execute your server side program. If it is a Windows side, if it is a Windows operating, or it is an Unix operating system. So next one is running the client. Then you have the next step is you have to start the client. So to start, if you are starting a client on the Windows, then you have to use a keyword called as start Java product client. And if it is an Unix operating system, then you have to use Java product client name. So here, this is the sample output will shown when you are executing the particular client program. So in the program I have given, I am an excellent laptop by me. I am an excellent display by me. Okay, so it will display a message as such. So the next one is your naming conversions of your RMA classes. So here you'll have a suffix that is impl. So this is the server class implementing the interface. Next one is your server suffix. So this is the server program that creates a server object. Next one is your client suffix. So this is the client program that calls the remote method. The next one is -stub suffix. So this is the stub class automatically generated by the RMIC programming. Next one is -skeleton suffix. So this will help you to execute your skeleton classes automatically generated by the particular classes. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you all. Good morning.